Thanks for joining us today. I hope you're all well on this lovely Thursday morning here in sunny Teesside. I'd like to introduce you to today's speaker, our Head of Operations here at Salesfire, Charlie Gibson.
Hi everyone, thanks for that, Josh. What we'll start with today is most of you will have received the agenda in the email earlier on in the week. But what I'm going to do today is more about go through how to replicate the in-store assistance online and look at kind of empathy and how it's kind of impacting e-commerce as a whole and how you can use that through your data and customer journeys, throughout each different touch point. And finalising that into what that can look like for Black Friday and any other, campaigns that you might have in the pipeline, as well as kind of introducing any micro conversions as well. We also have questions and answers towards the end, but if you do have any throughout the presentation, we do have our consultant, Johnny, who will be available on chat, so feel free to drop him a message at any time. So just to kind of start the webinar today, those who are attending, we've kind of had a look this morning, from different partnerships, agencies and retailers. Most of you over the last 8 to 10 months, no doubt, have experienced interruptions in your day-to-day operations, whether that's from a business or a personal perspective. This could have been anything from supply chain issues to an increase in product demand based on the industry that you're in, or kind of flipping that, a demand in a particular product that you've been trying to, grab hold of. We know that, due to kind of March and April, we've seen a lot of items flying off our shelves in supermarkets. Unfortunately, some of you may have witnessed temporary or permanent store closures as well. And I think we can, all agree that a huge one that's impacted e-commerce as a whole is a shift in that audience behaviour online. Some of those are new to the digital landscape and completing tasks that they would have done offline, or are new to a whole new touch point in their journey. So that could be they may have used your website for browsing online and looking at recommendations, and may used to use kind of your brick and mortar store to convert. That's now all shifted. So it's kind of, the landscape's totally changed, and we need to actually reevaluate of what our kind of brick and mortar and online actually need to do to work together. And these interruptions has brought us uncertainty and panic. Usually this time of year, I guess most of you are either planning your Black Friday or you're near enough there to launch in the next couple of weeks. Some of you from agency side will be working with clients and, gathering that data. But, kind of looking at the behavioural data over recent campaigns has meant like, the change in economy has resulted in budgets being cut, maybe reevaluating what campaigns you've needed to do earlier on in the year and what products you would have never really pushed at that time due to the current climate. And some of us have ignored the noise and continued business as usual as a fear of changing those operations. So I think the whole planning and communication balance it's still up in the air, and to be honest, it is a little overwhelming. And this has meant any well-versed quarterly strategies or any reports that you've worked on, week and month out, is needed to be reviewed, and we need to be more reactive based on the uncertain landscape of that, the C word that we're all aware of. So for those who are familiar with the marketeer is Tom Fishburne, those who aren't, he brings humour to businesses through cartoons such as Marketing Week, that's on the slide now. We'll have recently seen the following relating to business communications and COVID-19. So I thought this kind of message ties in really nicely with today's webinar, that businesses have identified that as this continues, we can't keep using this poor excuse as customer letdown. And it's time to flip that script for the long run and realise, we're all humans and we're in their world also. So even in the age of digital dominance, we all still love to adventure out to brick and mortar stores. One of the top reasons being is having the ability to, to see, to touch, to feel the products. Other reasons is that, we love to try products on before purchasing. I know that's something I'm definitely missing out on, something definitely I missed out on this year. The ability to take things home immediately, to be able to return items more easily. You might be missing that in-store assistance for that human support and face-to-face interaction. And simply just to enjoy the in-store experiences, in terms of multisensory, such as, your sounds and your smells, to trigger that emotional response before the conscious, cognitive, rational part of the brain kicks in. And I think, over the years, AI and automation has meant that a number of tasks within our shopping activities if they've disappeared, in the world of customer experience today, any admin tasks such as your data entry or filing have now essentially gone. And while the presence of smartphones and voice search have enabled us to maybe book a hair appointment over search or book a taxi through the push of a button rather than speaking to a human being. And I think as more and more of these manual tasks start to disappear, the rise of soft skills such as your creativity, leadership, as well as empathy will come into the fore as brands look to optimize these new spaces that emerge from either your service proposition and your employees as a result of AI's continuing efficiencies. So this is where combining the physical and digital retail experiences can help retailers accelerate that decision-making process, and it binds your prospects into the loyalty loop also. So with this in mind, it's good practice to ensure you are kind of leveraging all of these two activities to create an optimal customer journey. So when I mentioned there all the different activities that we're used to doing in store, such as kind of speaking to a human face to face and making returns, is we can already see this online today with augmented reality. So try before you buy. We've got next day or same day click and collect available. We've got different return methods available as well. Kind of completing 2 tasks in one by dropping a parcel off at the supermarket. I use the in-post lockers a lot during lockdown, just kind of driving away, around the garages, around the way to work, as well as some couriers being able to pick your parcel up from home. That's benefiting a lot of people at the moment, being able to work from home, as well as just dropping it off into a store as well. We're also seeing a lot of people utilize Messenger a lot for the first time, especially if there's no people, in store. They've actually reverted to a different, part of department in that company. And a lot of video support's been introduced, whether that's to kind of actually allow them watch that in-store assistants go through the store and actually shop for them. And what we've seen a lot today, especially with millennials, is, kind of not gone are the days, but, it started to fade, is going into a store and applying for a store card or a credit card is now we're relying a lot on buy now, pay later, such as Klarna. So I think it's, we are nearly there in terms of how we're looking at those in-store experiences. And I think for customers, all of this is about the convenience for them and the accessibility. And as we're now increasingly relying on online shopping, it's estimated that 95% of purchases will be made online by 2040. And this is a reason that we should cultivate and reflect the sense of humanity in e-commerce too, that we usually get in store. And this is where empathy can be one of your most powerful conversion tools. So there's many different aspects on how we can relate to empathy, whether this is through your brand's tone of voice, marketing, UX. However, I like to see empathy as the ability to understand and share the feelings of one another. And it should be the foundation for any content when it comes to delivering a great customer experience. So for brands, we've seen empathy being used to create customer personas and brand guidelines. I'm sure a lot of you have been involved in those workshops or aware of clients who kind of approached you with these already created. And these can help inform more effective targeting and messaging. And I think in terms of marketing, it means identifying what customers really value rather than just what will sell. And I think, in a report by Internet Retailing, 69% of consumers want to see empathy in a personalized experience. Yet less than half of us are actually delivering that. And I don't think it means that we don't want to. I think it's, we're unsure of how to do that. So by creating content and experiences that evokes empathy, consumers are more likely to take action, they're more likely to share, respond, and even prompt change, not just in the overall experience that they have with your brand, but in specific moments, those micro moments. So to inject empathy into your e-commerce strategy, you need to know your audience well. But how do you achieve this? And this is where I like to kind of, identify this as the people behind the numbers. So many decisions today in e-commerce are based on the analysis of data, or even in some cases, I'm sure we've all been there or experienced where decisions are made by gut instinct. At times, this can be, so overwhelming with the data and how much we have at our disposal. And it's not a bad thing, but too much data sometimes means, we need more perspective. And while CRO is more than just empathy, no information is worth much without context. And until we know how it feels to be in their position, your messaging won't mean much. So we do need to look at that wider picture and remember that there are people behind numbers. And using empathy to drive your conversions begins with that personal experience and customer service. So putting yourself in the customer's shoes, a phrase I'm sure you've all heard time and time again, and listening to their feedback when it comes to buyer behavior is key. So this could be spending more time on their website, creating focus groups, utilizing your existing tools that you have at your disposal to gather actual customer feedback. This could be looking at your reviews as well of how they're actually, working with your website, the actual customer service and experience. And from this, you should be able to identify how they feel, what they're saying, what they're doing, and also what they're thinking. To truly reduce the empathy gap that exists between your brand and customers, a simple activity that could form a part of your process is something called an empathy map. So empathy maps are widely used from a UX perspective, and it's a really simple activity that should be part of your user journey workshop, if not already. They're great to do, and they help you gain a better understanding of your customer segments to make more informed design decisions and improve the user experience. So empathy maps can also help, pinpoint things you previously didn't know about your customer types. And, for the example shown, this could be, for example, a woman who is looking to go out this weekend with her friends. She will have to limit how many friends she sees, and it'll have to be outside based on where you are in the UK. But, she's going to be going online. She might have that budget. She could be in your persona that she's not sure what really the latest trends are, especially with like the new autumn and winter season coming into play. So these are just ideas of what she actually might be saying, thinking, doing, or feeling while using your website. And in terms of saying and doing, it could be, what kind of attitude does she have on your website or in general? What is she talking about with her friends in the lead up to that experience and that planning of meeting them? What does her current lifestyle look like? So she could be on your website thinking, where do I start? What size is best if it's a website with different brands. I need something quick. I need it by Friday to wear for Saturday. And she needs to think that, she could be needing to save money due to, Black Friday and Christmas gifts is the top of her priority list. So in terms of doing, she might be asking her friends what they're wearing. She could be reading brand reviews, looking at recommendations on your website, product descriptions. She's going to be checking the delivery timescales to make sure that it fits within her time frame. And she's going to be researching a number of brands in competition for the best deal. In terms of thinking and feeling is what is their ambition and goal? What makes them feel good? And, what makes them feel bad and what frustrates them? And what motivates them? So she's going to be thinking, what will suit me? Why is this taking ages? Can she not find, the right product due to her site search? Should I get 2 sizes just in case if she's unsure if there's no size guide on there to be able to view? And she's going to be thinking, I hope it gets delivered in time. So she's going to be feeling a little overwhelmed, unsure who to trust. If she's new to your brand, she might be a little bit indecisive based on if there's recommendations on the website. And at the same time, she's going to be excited for that experience that she's going to, have at the weekend, meeting up with her friends. So as well as the 4 key areas we've highlighted here, it's also important to remember that, they may actually see or hear from your brand as well. So are there any influencers who may support the decision-making process, such as our friends? What channels are you on as well that might support her decision? So, for C, what's her environment like at the moment? What is happening in their world? And how do they see your brand? So scoping this out across your personas, or even an activity you like to complete on yourself, say the next time you're looking for a particular item, whether that's a piece of clothing for yourself, a gift for someone else, or a household item, is, use this empathy map create your own persona yourself of what your goal is, and kind of, about these 4 areas of what you're kind of saying out loud, what are you actually doing, what are you thinking, and what are you feeling. And this will give you an idea of, how you can apply this to whether it's your clients, websites through overlays or email or even blog posts, to kind of, what you can do on your own site, if that's something, in terms of, you're looking to create a campaign for Black Friday, for example. And what we'll be doing after this webinar today is we'll be following up with a blank template as well as in a blog post to give you some inspiration and ideas of how you can use this empathy map further. Once you've got this complete, it's then, right, I now know kind of how my personas may be seeing, thinking, doing, and feeling, but when's the right time to communicate? And this is where the journey to genuine and thoughtful communication comes into play. So according to Interbrand, the empathy gap is widening. It's making the customer journey mapping a key opportunity here for retailers and brands to distinguish themselves from the competition. So every new or existing customer on your website is going to have a different expectation of your brand, whether they're in their customer journey with you through the checkout page. They may require different information to a new visitor who is about to make their first purchase with you. Unfortunately, I've seen many examples here where, especially on overlays, where they're triggered at the wrong time, they've forgotten about the user's feelings, and they've just ended up shoving unhelpful information in the way of content. And making sure you utilize the customer journey, it helps identify each touch point with the customer experience, and you can use this to inject empathy towards customers throughout each stage of their journey without the danger of a disjointed life cycle. So this, customer journey here, this is one of the key elements we use throughout our quarterly strategies for managed service. And we like to look at a typical life cycle that our clients use and apply a number of questions and solutions to help communicate with these users and stages, alongside using our full suite of our tools. So for example, for awareness, thinking in terms of data entry, in collection and purchase inspiration, we need to optimize each of these touch points to ensure first-time visitors are greeted with a memorable, engaging, and useful experience that encourages them to progress through that buying process. And all the way through to the point of conversion, at this stage, any last-minute hesitations can be solved by a real-time messenger service. So this can help, as we went back previously, replicating the in-store assistance online, and a messenger service allows retailers to inject empathy in real time. So answering queries or removing barriers to purchase, an on-site messenger streamlines the buying process. And empathy throughout the whole customer journey is a crucial tool at this stage, especially in the conversion stage of a buyer's journey, because it sometimes can make the difference between a sale and a lost opportunity. So as well as identifying messaging to inject into your customer journey, you can also make the most of your channels and features across your website. So one example I've seen time and time again is people neglecting the use of overlays on their website that I mentioned before. Maybe they've triggered at the wrong time. But in terms of empathy, comfort shaming customers with negative opt-out messaging. And this is known in the CRO world as dark patterns, where other examples include, additional hidden items in a shopping basket, trick questions and hidden opt-ins. And it's something we need to be very careful about, especially with the GDPR in full force. So it's understandable that we need to increase revenue and we need to increase our email lists and acquisition. But using this type of messaging is just going to add a layer of guilt, and it's not going to do any justice to your brand reputation. So there's many, reasons why this may happen. It could be, desperate attempts to influence behavior, like we mentioned before. It could be a simple mistake by design or a simple mistake by the content team. It's just a sense of, when they've created that overlay, they haven't, thought through what is the goal of this overlay? What is the action? What am I trying to fulfill for the customer's needs? And where are they in their customer journey? And how am I going to measure the performance of this campaign to optimize it and get that feedback and look at that data and the people of those results and, improve it further and track performance? So in terms of messaging as a whole, in overlays, for example, I like to give customers full transparency, and it helps avoid just a false sense of urgency using words like stock up, which I've seen a lot during the pandemic. And I think, when, these words is linked to the pandemic, it can incite unnecessary panic and feelings of uncertainty. And I don't think, that is really, best practice, and it's not really nice to guilt, your target audience into that. It's not going to do any justice to your brand reputation. So a great takeout, I like to think, not just for overlay messaging, however, any content you write, whether that is a blog post you're going to be creating, an email that you're going to be briefing into a client, or even, a text to a friend, or, you're chatting to someone in Hangouts at work. If it's rude to say it in person, it's rude to say it in your messaging. Instead, you need to focus on building your content around the product solution that will fulfill their needs. And overall, following that experience can help them provide relief. So in terms of the clocks going back last week, and we've started to see kind of, your darker evenings, and over the last 3 weeks, especially in the Northeast, the temperatures dropped, is Dyson have been promoting their heaters. So this was a really good campaign that I've seen, because we're all experiencing, that shift in the climate, and their messaging, keep warm this winter. It just kind of brought to my attention, yeah, that's what I'm experiencing. I do actually need, don't want to be putting the heating on in every single room full swing. And, for people who may be looking out for a Dyson heater, that might not be on the top of their priority list due to, Christmas gifts and Black Friday fast approaching. So they kind of fulfilled the need by, injecting their USPs into their campaign, looking at splitting the cost, and also that scheduled delivery, which a lot of us can take benefit now from working from home. And what I liked as well, it also kind of sets the expectation of what will happen once they take action. So in terms of overlays, and not just Dyson, but what we do here at Salesfire is, following from that action is a simple thank you message on the overlay, and providing that their information has been submitted and what they need to do next. And this messaging is going to help reduce your bounce rates also, because it's strategically placed messaging, and it's going to guide them through your website to convert as that helpful tool. To facilitate inspiration and product discovery, we really need to make the most of our site search and inject empathy based on customer intentions. So at this time of year, the majority of us are going to be feeling frustrated as it is, never mind shopping for Christmas. So this is where you can implement some quick wins and, make customers feel at ease while browsing, as well as for yourself, making your site search tool very powerful. So there's many factors that I could run through today regarding site search. However, the two that stand out for me is search promotions and quick links. And these are quick ways to support your customers' behavior on your site into a positive conversion. So looking at the screen now on the right-hand side with the search promotions highlighted, as we know, maximizing every opportunity to communicate with your customers is crucial. And your search promotions can act as an additional outlet to promote key campaigns or relevant offers that you might have on at the time to boost your on-site engagement. So this could be promoting free delivery to different payment methods. And this can give the customer a peace of mind when shopping and browsing through your site search. And this is just by adding a simple custom unit. And by targeting shoppers who have a strong intent to purchase, as they've actually, they've come through your website through the traffic, they've actually clicked on your site search, it can guide them through an even more personalized user journey. And as I've mentioned, Q4 being one of the peak seasons for the majority of us for shopping. Usually we see extended returns come into play. So I think this is normally around September time for most. So this is where your quick links can, updating those throughout your website and also on your site search can reflect this to resolve, anything that they may be thinking or feeling and guiding them into making that all-important decision to convert. So in terms of streamlining support through genuine conversation, there's still a lot of store closures, unfortunately. And we do have a number of new audience segments that have maybe never shopped online before with you. There could have been casual online shoppers before. So what we need to do is maximize that strategy and bring the in-store experience online. And this is where your chat, your chat or your messenger feature can really streamline support to customers, through that genuine conversation in real time. So this feature has been valued for, a number of years by visitors, and it can come naturally to increase the number of customers that are accustomed to using, text and WhatsApp messaging day in, day out with their friends. So tone of voice here is really, it can really impact a conversation. So there's no misunderstanding. And you can also kind of, some brands decide to say how they best utilize their chat, whether live chat is beneficial for more complicated queries, so they have a nuisance understanding of the situation, versus, chatbots for any simple FAQs. So in terms of your messenger, if this is something you don't really focus on as a tool in terms of how people are using it in your business, it's a really good way to review your customer service phrases and statements. Are they relevant? Are they empathetic? Pull any feedback or data from the tool to identify FAQs. Could these FAQs instead be used through a chatbot, or could they be used to create a new landing page or add to your FAQs that you have at the moment, just for ease of access and for also time on the customer's side? Maybe it's time to, provide additional training to members of staff, putting themselves in the customer's shoes, to maybe taking them through that empathy map exercise to understand the brand's tone of voice. And kind of the last element, which for me is just not important in terms of e-commerce, but businesses as a whole, is we need to make sure that we're communicating important information across all departments, such as any campaigns that are launching, issues and updates to the company. So everybody, including your customer service team, are aware of those, and they can provide a customer with, relevant information, and also in a timely manner, and that everybody is on the same page with any conversation a customer might have throughout each touch point. For email marketing, I think, we can all agree COVID-19 resulted in a surge in email marketing sends. I think it was HubSpot noted 44% more emails being sent since the start of lockdown. And as, brands have started to send updates on, how we're all responding to the pandemic, we've also kind of seen more educational pieces for each brand and, nurturing those to stay front of mind for consumers. So as well as most industries seeing a huge increase in engagement in email, for e-commerce, email marketing was one of the key channels that, they could communicate to its existing customer base. And for me, I think the same with panic mode that we had buying items that we didn't need to buy in bulk has, unfortunately, the same things happened with global sending practices, where brands have sent, maybe, unfortunately, poorly crafted email messages using the dreaded batch and blast approach. So even though we're in a world of unknown, it's really important to look at what you're trying to achieve with email, as well as any other content on your website or, your campaigns, and how it's best to communicate with each of your customer segments. And this is where it's all about being personal and having that customer-centric mindset, providing them with the right message, the right time, especially with them needing that personal touch right now and that empathy. And this is where you should be making the most of your data to create a single customer view. So for empathy in email, it's the same as anywhere else. Those 10,000 subscribers are actually 10,000 human beings with different emotions and experiences. So, keep that in mind the next time maybe you're in your email platform. And, for an industry where I've seen this, empathy implemented really well is the cards and gifts industry, such as a brand called Bloom & Wild. So I received an email in the lead up to Mother's Day campaign back in March, asking if I'd like to opt out of this. And, to some, it's a really friendly reminder of a key date that they need to remember to buy a card, where for others, it might be a little bit of a sensitive time of year. And, all in all, from their stats, they found that 24 hours after sending this opt-out email, their customer delight team was inundated with replies, thanking and, praising them with kind words and messaging. And, for me, kind of my background in email marketing, I was actually one of those who responded to their customer delight team. And kind of, they were trending based on that. And from this, they've seen a really good success rate, and they have, as you can see on the slide at the bottom of this bullet point, is you're able to join the thoughtful marketing movement, and this provides them kind of, the brand will provide you insight into what they've done and how they can, support you through that. So I think, this example doesn't silo down to when you're crafting large campaigns. It could be for any of your emails within the journey. So from your, welcome email to a basket abandonment email, especially through kind of the last 8 to 10 months is, we spend so much time focusing on those generic emails that go out to all of your customers, whether that's, through segments, through the single customer view. But some of us might have actually set up automated emails in the past and just let them run once they've been created and launched. So it's really important to revisit your automated emails and review the messaging, based on what's happening in the economy or in the environment, to make sure your tone of voice and that kind of messaging is still kind of relevant to them. So some key questions, we like to ask when creating email content or when we're looking to create overlays for clients is, how are the people I'm trying to communicate with feeling right now? It may be in the terms of their journey. How would I feel if I was in their shoes and I was receiving this piece of content? What type of help and what type of support would I expect? Do I need delivery information? Do I need to speak to somebody from the customer service team? And what actions are most likely to help if this person felt happy or satisfied? And I think these 4 key questions are great to every time you craft an email or craft an overlay, is just to kind of, have these in mind and always remember of your personas that you've created, as well as your empathy map, and what actually part of the journey you're trying to communicate with. And last but not least, with every customer being different at various stages in the customer journey, we here at Salesfire analyse habitual visitor behaviour to provide, a dynamic shopping experience. And this is through genuine personalised product suggestions. These are product recommendations. And by utilising this machine learning, it can individually profile your customers, and it makes an inspirational product recommendation unit to amplify revenue and boost your conversion rate while satisfying your customers' needs. So, these recommendation units can be great, especially with the persona I went through earlier in terms of the woman who wanted to go out at the weekend with her friends, is she could really benefit from this type of tool within your website. Maybe if she has needing to meet outside with her friends, she's now looking to look for more layers. So she might need to look for a pair of, footwear or a jacket. And this is going to help her, inspire of, what she could actually wear as a full outfit. And this can help, how it's going to have a positive impact on your average order value. And there's different ways you could use this throughout Black Friday, whether this is kind of your top 10 or what people are most frequently, purchasing. And in terms of report of what people, how they feel valued is, customers actually feel more valued when you send them relevant product recommendations. And it just shows you that personalization is a huge part of, CX in 2020. So looking into the future for Q4, so, we're already, 4 weeks into Q4 at the moment. In 4 weeks' time, I'm sure we'll be reviewing the stats on what's happened over Black Friday and Cyber Monday. But what we need to do now is, look at, close to 3/4 of UK shoppers are planning to mainly shop online over the festive season. So whether you've got your Black Friday campaign already, or you're just in the final stages, or maybe, you're still unsure where to start based on the landscape, is, as well as your data and your AI playing a huge role in the approach to your campaign, is now looking over today's webinar is how you can actually inject empathy into your operational and campaign messaging. And remember those new audiences that may have been introduced to your brand or a new touch point within the customer journey based on these last 8 to 10 months. And, use that empathy map and the new persona of, right, what additional campaigns do I actually need to present? This is a great new segment to work on and build that loyalty with them. And in terms of how we're building loyalty and injecting empathy, is we're doing this a lot. It's a key focus for us for our managed service clients in Q4. alongside what campaigns will be key in this quarter. So if you do want any more information on how, what we're doing with our clients in Empathy, in our managed service, please feel free to drop Johnny a chat in there or contact us after the webinar. So just to summarise today's webinar, some key takeouts from myself is to identify ways on how to replicate the in-store assistance online. So use those points I've mentioned today of what people usually like to do while in store, and look at different ways how maybe you can replicate that on your website. Use empathy, intuition, and data to develop a hypothesis of what your customers want. Use brand personas in your empathy map to identify what your customers may be seeing, doing, thinking, and feeling when using your website. And optimize your campaigns utilizing your full toolkit, whether this is your site search, product recommendations, your chat, messenger, or your email marketing. And a great place to start this is being ready for Black Friday. And that's it from me. So thank you for listening today. I think a few of you have been chatting to Johnny throughout the webinar. And if anybody else has any other questions.
Thank you very much, Charlie. That was super insightful. I hope it's been good for everyone else as well. If anyone does have any questions, feel free to fire them in the chat. I know we're running a bit late because we did get a bit of a late start there. So what we will do is we recorded the webinar and we will make sure we get it sent out to you, including that little, the empathy map that Charlie put together. We've got a bit of a pack there for you to get everyone starting to work. We're trying to make things as actionable as possible. So if nobody does have any questions, we'll send this out. If you do have anything afterwards, please feel free to get in touch with either myself, Charlie, or Johnny. But it is something that we go into on our podcast as well, the catch up. You can get it on Spotify, Apple Music, and all those other type of places. We talked to quite a few industry leaders, and empathy's been a really big one for us. So thanks again to Charlie for that. It was awesome. And we will be in touch with the recorded version of everyone else. Again, if you have any questions, Johnny will be on hand. He'll be in the chat for the next 10-15 minutes. And other than that, thanks for joining everyone, and we'll be in touch with you soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you soon, everyone.
Bye.